Hi there and welcome to a new episode of Afterthoughts. We have recorded tonight the next part for Etudes of Cramers, which we did first for in the last episode, recording, playing from Beethoven's score with the annotations written down by Schindler. And if you haven't seen the previous recording, you might check it out, or the previous Afterthoughts actually, because I'm talking a little bit about the history of this very important manuscript. It's not a manuscript, it's an edition of the Etudes by Cramer, which are annotated by Schindler and signed by Beethoven. Actually 21 of them are signed by Beethoven and the others are not. So in this edition just these 21 etudes are bundled. So we played number 5, 6, 7 and 8, and what I didn't say in the previous episode, but it's interesting to mention, is that these pieces, they feel more, I must say, I can feel the touch of a square piano, to be honest. They are early 19th century and later. Probably Beethoven did teach on the pianoforte, and we are in the middle of course, the era where the piano grows and the clavichord silently, not dies, but anyway, is not anymore in the center of the music. Having said this music is a wonderful exercise music for this keyboard, for the clavichord as well as for the pianoforte. It really gets you close to your instrument and you have to find your way in making a nice touch, nice tone. And by doing that, you approach really a kind of basic techniques, and which is challenging. It's basic in the sense that you really have to make tone and a lot of accentuation, challenging in a way that the hand position is going from very close to actually what Beethoven is emphasizing also in some notes which are in the preface, but the hand is opening a little bit, and that's challenging on the clavichord more than on the pianoforte. So I'm challenging myself a little bit, and I have to say number 5, 6, 7, and we go through them. Number 8 is really a pain in the ass on the clavichord. Coming to that, so it's not so that I'm playing these pieces just by sight reading. Some of them appear not to be so difficult at first sight, but also when you increase the tempo a little bit, they become very difficult, and in any way they are very difficult to make a beautiful tone. They have a lot of expression. The Cramer Etudes is really great music. As I said in the previous episode, I don't know many sonatas of Cramer or other music that really matches the level of this series of etudes. Actually all 84 are beautiful. So the fifth one is this. So the technical difficulty is obvious. In the left hand you go wider than an octave, even more. And the right hand you have the melody, which can only be played by turning the wrist a little bit. And Beethoven is writing a very interesting passage about this etude. Remember that I often said that and certainly in the late 18th century, but it's actually also true for Bach and the Baroque, that when you have a melody or just a figure written out in 16 notes that you can hold one longer in order to emphasize a kind of melodic structure. And what Beethoven writes here is actually the same. He says in German, but I translate, it is a 4-voice piece. And if you would write the notation differently, I don't know if you can see it, but it's written really what Cramer wants is the melody in the upper part, and in the right hand so to say, the alto voice is just an accompaniment. But Beethoven says when you would write it in 4/16 notes, it would be the same. So you would have to hold the upper note much longer, not as it's written, but to emphasize the rhythmical structure and the melody. That's actually a very important remark, and it often wonders me why this is not being done more often, because that enhances so much of the music, not only from Beethoven but from Mozart and Haydn as well. It can be so beautiful just to keep one note a little bit longer. Not only the instrument is benefiting from that, the clavichord, early pianos as well, the harpsichord as well, just by holding notes gives more harmonic sound, but it enhances the melody and it gives interest, it kind of polyphonic structure. So needless to say that if you have to divide your right hand into two parts, the melody and the upper notes, mainly performed by the fifth and the fourth finger, and then in the alto these rather large jumps, they're not so large if you could play them with one hand, but finger number 5 and 4 are occupied by the melody, and sometimes even number 3. So it's impossible to hold your wrist like this. You see, even you will miss a lot of notes on the clavichord, and even on the square piano, probably the one where Cramer has written this music for, maybe even in grand piano. That's something I don't know, but anyway, the square pianos in London were very much available, or in England. That's much easier, but it will sound better if you turn with your wrist a little bit, that your thumb comes in a better position to play this, and then inevitably your hand goes like this further, and you have the strength, the power to play the E, the upper note, again louder, so to enhance the melody. So do not the opposite. It's of course not what is meant. That's very difficult actually. And then the left hand is all written staccato, but often the tenor voice, and that's what Beethoven means by full voice, the tenor is following the upper part. So it is nice if you could also make in the left hand a difference between the tenor and the bass. So not just to play this like, but to enhance the upper note. So, very expressive music, very, very, very difficult, and at the end it's getting even more melodic, feeling the left hand. In the right hand it's continuous, so don't change it. When you're there, because you need to go down again, and it's for your concentration good to have a point of rest. So, beautiful piece, really, and as long as you don't have to play it on a concert, it's really nice to play. It's very tricky on a concert. So then one in A minor, sorry. Okay, vivace, Beethoven writes that the rhythmical accent is on the first note of every triad, which is obvious. And I would say more that is the second one, the last one of the thirds, is the upbeat to the melody, which is inevitably like that. So you have to make them long and short. And okay, it's full voice piece. It's polyphonic piece. So that's important information directly from Beethoven. And I cannot agree more than that you have to find, I cannot say it enough, melodies and counter melodies within the figures of the music. So this piece is technically difficult, but in another way as the previous one. You have here the big tunes. Also here you have to bring your hand in position in order to be able to play all the notes. So don't get a fixed position, because your first finger won't have the ability to play this C in a beautiful way. You have to bring it there by movement of your wrist. It's important. And then it's the independence of the 5 fingers in left hand. You can make it 3 here, but anyway. I don't think it's that fast. Certainly not in Beethoven's time. Don't make of it a pure technical exercise. That's what they did in the late or in the second half of the 19th century, in my opinion. And the old players, they very much opposed to that. Moscheles, Czerny wrote things about it, even Schindler. So don't play it too fast, certainly not on the clavichord. It's about making sound, individuality of fingers and fingerings, left, right, but also within one hand. And also here, a little bit difference in legato play. The jumps become bigger, more difficult. Sorry. I sometimes miss, and I will tell you why. Because I emphasize the melody that much that I just am too late in order to play the next note. If I would play it, if I would practice this for months, I would know it. But it's tricky. And then, difficult passage, why? It's not only because it has sharps and naturals, in a way that for this music rather strange. I mean, you see it often later with Chopin and certainly Liszt. This is something that's for a classical musician, I mean a musician that has grown up in the late 19th century, must have felt very difficult, very strange, and actually still today. And it is long because it continues. And these kind of long sentences are difficult because your memory and your motoric memory and your motoric feeling is not always able to oversee these gigantic sentences. And what you always have to do is make sure that you have points of rest, like this. Not so long, of course, but in your mind it's I miss sometimes these long sentences, certainly when I perform them like this. But being able to reset some points in your head is very important, these long sentences. Okay, it continues, and then in the last two lines are extremely difficult. This is really unseen for that time, maybe not even for that time, but it's really, really, really modern, really difficult. And this last line you have to practice, because it's kind of independence that's really tricky. So, then number 7. Very beautiful piece, and if you think that Cramer is more oriented to the 18th century, this is kind of new sound. Obviously, as Beethoven writes also in the remark, that the soprano has a melody with an accompaniment of the alto, and the same happens in the left hand. Tenor voice, here on the clavichord, more difficult than on the piano, you have to jump to the first B flat in the bass. No way to escape from that. So you can't play the D in the tenor voice legato to the C. But that's no problem if you do it beautiful. So the more you can play these melodies both in the soprano and at the tenor legato, the more beautiful it is, but it's not possible to do it always. On the piano you could, of course, use a sustaining pedal, but I wouldn't recommend that, certainly on the early pianos. It's certainly on the very early pianos it's kind of useless, because it's not a legato pedal, it sustains some notes, it enhances some harmonies, but it's not like I understand the grand piano or on the ERR piano that's here next to me, where the notes really stays and sustain very long, as if you would keep them. But I wouldn't do it. I would make sound with my fingers. Would you play this on a concert? Of course, on the piano you could enhance it a little bit, make it a bit more beautiful by using the sustaining pedal. Then this 8th one, that's a really tricky piece. So you have these jumps. And I must say the fingering in this edition is rather difficult. You have, this is inevitably, so you have to put your thumb under your 3rd and 2nd finger, and here, and then they write here 3, 2, here, they keep the thumb on the first note. I have played this over years like that, but I cannot believe that it's really old fingering. I would do it like this and then just reposition my hand. And I will do it every time it's possible. Here also you have this, but again the same thing. I will change the 3rd finger. Here also. There are other difficulties as well, but what's very important here in the beginning is that you make sound. I mean, this piece can sound really awful on the clavichord or on the early piano as well. Just to be afraid on the upper note, you should embrace them. You should jump into the key, even if you're afraid of playing wrong notes. It's better to play them wrong but beautiful, with a beautiful sound, than play them right with the awful sound. And you will see, if you just let it go, that most notes will be right. And it has often to do with taking just a little bit of time. Certainly when you're nervous, take a little bit more time. Nobody will hear, and it most probably will fit into the expression of the music. Okay, then you come here in the last line here. There's written an ornament here. I've left it out in the recording. Not that I don't think it's beautiful, but it's on a strange part. I mean, you should play on a very easy playing piano to do this. Even on the Erard piano it's difficult, so I just left it out. And then it's the cadenza. Also here makes sound. A little bit of ritardando, that's necessary for you, but do it, make sound, always make sound. And by omitting the ornament, yeah, it's just the clavichord needs so much sound in the treble to make it beautiful that it's no use to do it here. So I think it's, yeah, I think it just left it out, and that is difficult. Take your time to reposition. Also here, don't play too much legato because you won't be able to come to the end. Just you don't emphasize these notes. Okay, we'll do, I think, 2 series more of 4 etudes. We'll see. Tonight we will record as well some first part of the inventions of Bach, and we will play them all 15 in sequence of 3. That will be the next project, and maybe we will do 5 videos in a row with 3 inventions, or we might insert some Haydn sonata or even Cramer or something else. I don't know. That's for later. Anyway, that was it for this Afterthoughts edition. Thank you very much for watching. As always, thank you for subscribing to the channel, sharing it with all your friends over the world on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever, on which platform you watch these videos. And I thank you for that, and we'll see each other very soon again. Bye.